तो आप लोग सारे बच्चे जान रहे होगे ना एड्रिनल ग्लैंड्स, जो अपनी ऑलमोस्ट सेकेंड लास्ट टॉपिक जो बची है, ठीक है। तो ये बेसिकली एड्रिनल ग्लैंड है क्या ये, ठीक है। तो दिस इज अ ग्लैंड विच इज सिचुएटेड जस्ट above the end of kidneys. So it is based in two parts or having two pairs. One is situated in right part and other is situated in the left part of the kidney. So basically what happens? These are the structure having moon shape and these are surrounded by the reticular fibers for support. So these are embedded in the adipose tissue and they have a concentric layers, that is adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. So basically these two cortex and the medulla, they have the basic principal role of this gland. So first, if we talk about the location, then this is lie near superior poles of kidneys, okay, and the capsules are the red, while the cortex colors is blue and the medulla is somewhat pinkish. So regarding cortex, these cortex cells contain numerous lipid droplets, while these cells have secreted glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids, and gonadocorticoids. And basically, they have three concentric layers with fenestrated capillaries. And to say, so many capillaries are present in the cortex so that the metabolite after the waste, or you can say the products which have to filter and distributed into distributed into the waste products, and some of the components those have to redistribute under the body system. Okay. So basically this mineralocorticoids, these are present in the zona glomerulosa. These glucocorticoids, they are found in the zona fasciculata, and this zona reticularis, this is find the androgens. So if we talk about the ratios and types of enzymes in the each zone of the cortex, so that will vary, resulting in different hormonal products. So we will talk about these hormones later on. First, the basic things, what the composition these have. So basically this cortex, they are endocrine in nature. Okay. And the medulla is neurocrine in nature. So this cortex, they have concentric layers, zona glomerulosa. So almost this layer occupies 15% of the cortex. Okay. And lies beneath the capsule, or you can say the pyramidal cells. So these cortex, they are arranged closely and structurally they are round and they have arched cords, or you can say they are in small clumps. I mean to say little, or you can say a very low component of cells are present in a specific mass. So the cells of zona glomerulosa are red, and the sinusoidal capillaries and somewhat the endothelial cells which are present in the cortex, that are blue in color. So basically this is the adrenal gland, and they release these hormones, they secrete these hormones. So you can have the picture that this is the medulla, this is the cortex. So having different layers. So like this zona glomerulosa, and this zona glomerulosa is responsible for the secretion of mineralocorticoids, especially aldosterone and corticosterone. While these glucocorticoids, which comes from the cortex, or you can say the zona fasciculata layer, and from here, glucocorticoids will secrete. That consists of cortisol and cortisones. Likewise, zona reticularis, they release androgens, especially estrogens and testosterone. If we take this medulla, then they refer the catecholamines, that is epinephrine and norepinephrine, and somewhat peptides also, that are somatostatin, especially the substance P. So these peptides, they are mostly used under the GI tract, gastrointestinal tract. So if we talk about this zona fasciculata, so almost it will cover the 65% of the cortex part, and it is an intermediate zone, to say in between the zona reticulata and zona intermedius. So this is a polyhedral and binucleated cells having the lipid droplets in their cytoplasm. So these are the spongocytes, mean to say they are vacuolization. Mean to say they consist of vacuoles, and they are arranged in one or two, that is depend on the thickness of the cord. Mean to say whatever the cells have the arrangement and things by which they have formed, that is responsible for the arrangement of the cells of zona fasciculata. So again, the cells of zona fasciculata are red and the sinusoidal capillaries are blue. So the last one is the zona reticularis, and that will conserve 7% of the cortex. So the innermost layer it is, and it lies between zona fasciculata and the medulla part. Cortex is the having three parts, and this medulla having this zona reticularis. So they are forming anastomose network. I mean to say they have compiled of different or various small cells, the cells which are very much small. So basically they are lipofuscin pigment granules. And these concentric layers, these are concentric layers are irregular shaped, and they have pycnotic nuclei. And these pycnotic nuclei, they are said to be suggesting for the death of any cells, because it gives some change in the color and the characteristic of this zona reticularis layer. So again, the cells of zona reticularis are red, and the cells which are pigmented in blue color. So while we are talking about this mineralocorticoids, so these are secreted from adrenal cortex, that is especially from the zona glomerulosa. So basically aldosterone is secreted from mineralocorticoids, and it is steroid in nature. So importantly, they are aid for the hemostasis of electrolytes and maintain the water balance in whole body system. So basically, they act mainly on the distal kidney tubules. They are also present in the salivary glands and sweat glands, because in these spaces, the dissipation of heat to the environment is required regularly. So this aldosterone have the role to maintain the homeostasis of the electrolytes whenever there is requirement of dissipation of heat to the environment. Okay. So it may be through the sweat glands, either from the evaporation or from the salivary glands or from the filtration of the liquid materials after metabolism in the kidney. So it also stimulates reabsorption of sodium and hence it increases the excretion of potassium into urine. If there is enhancement or increased level of potassium is there, then it will excrete out from the urine. While the volume of sodium or the concentration of sodium has to be reabsorbed up to a certain extent or the limitations by which the body is required. So if we add some mineral regarding some mineralocorticoids, then so many things will come, but we will take it in a systematic way. Okay. So rather glucocorticoids, if we're talking, then it will secreted from also the adrenal cortex, from the zona vesiculata. And this include the principal hormone, that is the cortisol. That is steroid in nature again. So these affect the metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. Okay, these are useful for the metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids, which are essential nutrients required for growth or a normal to maintain the normal status of an animal's body. So they are doing or they are maintaining this metabolism with the help of stimulation of gluconeogenesis. Okay, this mobilization of amino acids from extrahepatic tissues to the relevant tissues. So the next thing is the inhibition of glucose uptake in muscle and adipose tissues. Okay, so these you can have an idea that this cortisol is also required for the glucose uptake in muscle and in adipose tissue as and when it is required. So by this, the metabolism of the essential nutrients may be done. So it also stimulates the breakdown of fat molecules. Okay. If we talk about the immune response, then it definitely suppresses the immune response because it is steroid in nature. So basically, the relevancy of immune response is somewhat outward to the nature of this cortisol because they are destroying the circulating lymphocytes and they inhibit the mitotic activity also and they control the secretion of cytokines. I mean to say, in the very first thing regarding the lymphocyte circulation, since it is steroid in nature, it have the impact to destroy the lymphocytes. So that's why it is told that if an animal having the excessive lymphocytes, excessive cortisol level, then they might have any effect on the level of or the concentration of lymphocytes. Likewise, this it also inhibits the mitotic and it controls the secretion of cytokines. I mean to say, it just inhibits the secretion of cytokines. Okay, cytokines have the relevancy to maintain this lymphocytic activity and any activity of the body which is regarding the breakdown or to maintain it. So these cortisol also promotes the maturation of lung and production of surfactant in fetal development. So this is another very quite relevant thing which is required to maintain the fetus. So rather than this cortisol, some experiments have been done regarding this cortisol and told that the manipulation of adrenal androgen production, okay, that is required for the treatment of advanced cancer of prostate gland. So for this, cortisol is also required. And regarding this epinephrine and norepinephrine, these are produced from the amino acid, that is tyrosine, and they are the modulators of systemic stress response. Okay. So if we talk about this androgen, so these are secreted from the, again, adrenal cortex from zona reticularis. And they have specific characteristics featured in males and females. So this is especially the male sexual characteristics, okay, androgen, that is required for the differentiation of male to a female. While talking about the females, because so many things for maintaining of a normal male characteristic, this androgen is required. But when we talk about the androgen role in females, then this androgen is very weak. The concentration of androgen is very, very weak in these females. And these circulates the blood as a sulfate. So here the circulation of blood as a sulfate, that means these androgens have a role in oxidation and reduction as well as in the cells itself. So this androgen exerts its actions after being converted to testosterone, especially in the male condition, because this is the condition of a male. So while we're talking about this medulla, because it is a neurocrine hormone, okay. So basically it lies in the center of the adrenal gland and it is composed of polyhedral cells. So it is also arranged in cords or clumps and will supported by fiber network of reticular cells. So these are composed of chromaffin cells and especially it secretes the catecholamines, that is the epinephrine and norepinephrine. So these contains sympathetic ganglion cells so that they are designated under the neurocrine activity. So if we talk about this chromaffin cells, so these are the neuroendocrine cells and they release neurotransmitter into systemic circulation for the effect of organs, or you can say the multiple organs. Whatever the effect on multiple organs in a systemic way, only these chromaffin cells are responsible. Again, this contains N and E cells. So N for norepinephrine and E for epinephrine. So while talking about the E cells, they are characterized by small granules and they contain epinephrine. Okay. While norepinephrine cells, they are characterized by large granules and they contains dense cores giving an appearance of eccentric bullseyes. So basically the difference between these epinephrine and norepinephrine cells having their capacity of granules. Because epinephrine cells characterized by small granules, while norepinephrine cells, they comprised of larger granules. And somewhat these norepinephrine cells, they are appear like eccentric, or you can say an example of bull eyes. So more intense this chromaffin reaction, this also stores the norepinephrine. So you can have this picture regarding the adrenal gland hormone. So you can have a very clear vision that from this medulla, 20% of the weight, this medulla consists of the 20% of total weight of the adrenal gland. So basically it consists of the catecholamine, that is epinephrine, norepinephrine and dopamine. And the thing comes from here. So when this adrenal corticotropic hormone, this stimulates the cortex, that is consists of 80% of the total weight of this adrenal gland. Okay, so when this stimulates the cortex, then what happens? This zona glomerulosa, it releases mineralocorticoids, especially this aldosterone, and this zona fasciculata and this zona reticularis combinedly they form these glucocorticoids, androgens, estrogen, and mineralocorticoids. So basically, this zona glomerulosa, they are having the total area of 15% of this adrenal gland. Okay, this zona fasciculata, this consists of 78% of this cortex part, and this zona reticularis is consists of 7%. So about 80% of the weight of this cortex, 15% zona glomerulosa, 78% zona fasciculata, and 7% of zona reticularis consisting there, or they just play a role to maintain the 80% of the cortex weight. While this medulla, it consists of 20%. So after getting this 80% and 20%, the ACTH will get complete. So basically, if we talk about the hormones regarding the medulla, that is, if we tell it catecholamines, that is epinephrine and norepinephrine. So this epinephrine, this prepares the body for the any stress condition. Okay. So exactly fright, fight, or flight action, because it increases the heart action and it also acts like vasoconstriction, because most of the arteries and veins will remain constrict. Okay, when this epinephrine will secrete. So being cardiovascular system and respiratory system are closely correlated, so the rate and depth of breathing will also get increase, as well as the heart action will increase. So when these two things will get increased, then it will tend to increase the force of contraction of any muscles, okay, any of the muscles. So this is the picture which tells about the adrenal medulla cells. Okay, so you can have a vision that it acts on this capillary and the adrenal gland is there. So basically what happens? This epinephrine and norepinephrine acts on the capillary as well as the adrenal medulla cells. So like here, this medulla, they also act on the sympathetic trunk to get innervate by the spinal cord. And by this action, the thoracic splanchnic nerve system will get activated, and it is responsible for the increase of the heartbeat as well as the respiration rate. So by the increase in this heartbeat or heart rate and respiration rate, it will tend to increase the action of or stimulation of muscular force. Okay. So you have this picture that short-term stress response and long-term stress response. So this differentiation has been clearly made as per the role of this adrenal medulla and this adrenal cortex. So you can clearly say that this epinephrine and non-epinephrine, these are relevant for the short-term stress response. Okay, so they act on adrenal medulla, and the innervation comes from the hypothalamus, which sends these nerve signals via the spinal cord, and it will, the epinephrine and norepinephrine will get released and acts on the same to survive the short-term stress response. It may be from any type, fight, flight, or fright action. If we're talking about the long-term stress response, then it will totally depends upon the corticosteroids that is released from the adrenal cortex. So what happens here? This hypothalamus, they stimulate the anterior pituitary with release so many hormones, especially the adrenal corticotropic hormones. So this ACTH, this comes into the circulation after release from the anterior pituitary, and when once it comes into the blood vessel, it passes towards the adrenal cortex and release to secrete these corticosteroids, and by the help of or by the action or mechanism of these corticosteroids, the long-term stress response can be concluded. So this is the one thing. The next is the norepinephrine. The same thing what I have told in the previous slide. So it will increase the blood pressure. It also stimulates respiration and gastrointestinal contractions. It also triggers release of glucose and suppresses the neuroinflammation. Okay. So it increases the blood pressure by increasing tension of muscles. Whatever the things we taught in the slide of epinephrine, mostly the things are also comes under the norepinephrine. So this is the all the things regarding the system. So